three of you, you all decided to tackle something that not that many people want to tackle because it's quite challenging, right? You're basically going after habits that we have developed in the last 50 years that are driven by overconsumption. We do what we want, we eat what we want, we waste what we want. So interestingly, you are dealing both with corporation and consumers. So that would be interesting to see the biggest challenge the three of you faced by either working with corporation or consumers. So Christina, for example, I'd be very curious to hear some of your story about some challenges that you see in trying to help some of these corporations being more sustainable.
You know, what's really interesting is that, well, first of all, chefs in particular, but food people do not want to ever imagine they're wasting anything. We all know there's a lot of waste coming out of these operations, but they believe in efficiency. You know, they don't purchase something thinking they're going to throw it away. So even getting them to understand how much they're wasting so that we can actually sell them on the idea that they need to do things very differently, it's getting the buy-in to actually be able to go in. And we go in and we weigh everything. We'll go into a commissary kitchen, a food processing facility, a grocery store. We will weigh every wasted item that leaves that store and go back with feedback. And that's not something you want to do every day, but it's so valuable for people to start to see, wait, because sometimes restaurants are capturing their food waste at the end of the day, but anything that got tossed in the trash during lunch hour or whatever, it doesn't exist. And so getting them to understand how much they're wasting is so important, because they do understand the value. They understand that there's the food costs. If you're wasting food off a buffet that someone prepared, then it's the food cost, the labor cost. And then of course there's the movement of the waste and the hauling and all those fees all together. I think it was EPA has estimated that on average, food that's wasted is about $1.16 a pound. And that's like comparing the apple peel and the salmon that was cooked, and you get this average. So you imagine that salmon is probably worth $4 or $5, you know, or way more.
And it's interesting, right? Because as the price of produce keeps rising, these costs are going to become more and more significant. I from my corporation years, when I work at multiple corporations, I still remember those large conferences. And as you say, you have this large buffet. There's probably 50% waste at all these events. And I think at that time, maybe years ago, we didn't even think about it as far as what's happening to this food, right? So
it's crazy. We've pulled 500 pounds off of a corporate dining buffet in a single day.
Oh, wow.
And that works out to be hundreds of thousands of a year in cost savings if you actually didn't waste that food. Because once someone else has put the scoop in, you can't donate that because it's left the food safety chain. But I have to say that's an odd upside on the COVID front, because there are very little upsides to COVID besides cleaner air and this. Is
less
that
food waste probably because people are more
buffets are going away. They're going away. Everything is going, even if you have a buffet, it will require a server because of just the higher level of safety. So I do think some of that might be solved. Who knows?
Well, thank you, Christina. Luca, do you want to go next on this question as far as the biggest challenges you see because yours is kind of like consumer and corporation, right? Like it's a B2B2C. So what was the challenge you may have seen educating people, having them adopted your solution?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I'm quite happy what's going on, because we started in 2014 where there was no startups concept. I mean, for startups is something for Americans, and we missed that. But we are growing, I mean, and also we are creating this network of startups. So we basically know a lot of other startups, and it's incredible to see that other people and of my generation or even younger are so committed in creating a solution that are environmental friendly or green tech. And also this is followed by the institution, because recently, I mean, the European Commission has approved a grant and is investing a lot of money in creating a path for the green tech. So they want to really take on food waste. And also this comes from both from the ground, from the people, and from the institutions, so from the top. And there is raising awareness among consumers. And that's why probably also Babaco that was just launched, it got so many people. I mean, the main reason why they choose us is because of the mission. Because of course there are different kind of delivery service that provide you even more, maybe cheese or meat or whatever it is, but nobody has a mission of reducing food waste. So a lot of people like the service because they contribute to reduce food waste, and they see this is something that is growing by day. Or when you go to an event, you meet people even younger that are more committed than you, and they study how to use every part of the vegetables or of the fruits or what they can do. And they try to also use the Instagram or the social network to spread the word and kind of provide a good example. Of course, the people get a lot of like or whatever it is, like, okay, I like it, but the next step is moving from a like to do it and to replicate the same good attitude. But I believe that step by step, you will do it.
So I totally agree with this approach. As I mentioned, we have one team member in We Grow Green Tech that's gonna work on Instagram micro campaign, and the idea is to find a way to engage. How do we engage people to do a little something, right? At least, even if it's not big, if we all do it, that makes a large difference. So totally agree with you. Are the three of you are leading the way. How do we convert that into people being inspired and doing the right thing at their level, whatever it may be? Another thing that's interesting for me that I noticed is having the chance to be in different countries. There is a different sensitivity in Europe toward green, toward food waste, so that it is in the US. That makes even Christina's mission more admirable, because I think there's been a lot of disconnection on food that happened in the US because we got used to get our food so much from supermarket. Probably most people don't know exactly what's involved. And so I think it's interesting that the food waste problem is also a geographic problem because perception are very different. So Anne-Charlotte, do you want to share as far as you share already your beautiful story, how you always been passionate by food waste. So which challenges did you see when the three of you decided, okay, we're gonna tackle this and make Oleo successful?
It wasn't just the three of us. There was a.
Do you start with?
Three.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I was also part of three other people who came on board, so there was about 7 of us. Anyway, but I think I'll first off frame the capacity in which we work with businesses, just to make it clear, because I didn't tell you in the introduction. But one of the things we've been developing is Oleo is really a community project. It's really about engaging individuals. And one of the things that we noticed is that we had a lot of individuals really keen on helping and on getting, and going above the, I'm just going to share my half loaf of bread action. And at the same time, we realized there was a lot of businesses in the local communities that had surplus that was unsold, that charities could not help redistribute. Sometimes it's because the pickup is happening really, really late. Sometimes it's because there isn't that much food to make it worth it for a charity to come. Or sometimes it's because it's food that needs to be redistributed within the half hour or the hour in which it's collected for it to be safe and consumable. And those things are really hard to manage if you are operating a charity. But if you're operating a hyperlocal community, they are manageable. So we've packaged this in a volunteering program called the Food Waste Hero program. And the Food Waste Hero program does exactly this. It helps businesses at the end of the day redistribute food that can't be sold and can't go to charities. Charities, to be clear, always have absolute priority on any food that we would, on any business food. But when charities can't come, we're the safety net. And so as a safety net, we have found many, many issues. I think first off, we had to create proprietary legislation and a system around this so that businesses would want to work with us, because using a voluntary army or force to handle food is something that has risk. And I think we had to, create credibility with the Food Standard Agency and our food lawyer and the local authorities. So that was the first hurdle. And then just changing habits, exactly like Christina and Luca were saying, sort of like getting businesses to change the way they're processing things is quite an undertaking in itself. But finally, allowing for people to go past the idea of like, oh, food needs to go to charity, otherwise you can't have it. Because there are limitations to charities, and it's not because the food can't go to a charity that it can't go to good use. And food that's wasted is just, a net zero, like it's just bad. And it's better for the food to be eaten than anything else. And we think that we've got a really good solution also because from a consumer end standpoint, we know that some of our users, because the app is not mean tested, anyone can access the food. It means that it's an environment that has a lot less prejudice, and that's much easier for, it's stigma free. So it's much easier for individuals to use it and to access free food without being the poor person, because really no one wants to be the poor person and no one wants to get a handout. I think everyone wants to feel like they're part of a community and they're doing something great for the environment. So allowing for businesses to see the benefits of Olio is definitely a challenge, but it's something that we are progressively getting past.
Congratulations, beautiful story. So, we're getting toward the end of the panel. So we talk about challenges. So maybe now what I would like to do, like shortly for each of you, if you can share one success story, like through after years of working hard, maybe it's like you included food waste at a large corporation, or you fed a certain amount of people. So each of you like share one success story that was really, really meaningful to you during your journey. So Christina, if you want to start.
Sure. We definitely have big corporate stories, but I think this year has been, we've all been in the throes of COVID. And so I feel like one of the biggest opportunities for us, one of the things that we do is we bring lots of partners together. We don't solve every problem for our clients. So we will bring partners like Toast Ale, who makes beer from bread, to come collect bread at a bakery we work with. Or we'll bring donations like Rescuing Leftover Cuisine and people who are rescuing food for the philanthropic community to our customers. But we, at the start of COVID, when everything locked down, there was so much surplus food at our clients and other places in the city that was going to go bad very quickly. Refrigerators needed to be cleaned out. Things were happening so quickly. We pulled together a webinar with a set of takers, different charities here in New York City, City Harvest. We had Rescuing Leftover Cuisine, who works all over the region, and a few other players on the call. And we worked with the city of New York to bring together key people to remind people how easy this could be, and put together one of the challenges, I think that Olio faces, we all face, is also that even if the legislation is supportive, sometimes businesses are scared of liability when they're doing different things. And we had to make all this clear very quickly to many people and get the word out so that all that food would move to the people who needed it. Because at the same time, people were suddenly not working and hungry, and there already was a hunger crisis in New York pre-COVID. So it just exploded. So I think being part of that, being able to take all of our relationships and use them to try to move to actually move food was a big deal for us.
I can see that in a place where people are in despair, and COVID-19 is accelerating this, and you can come and help. I think it's a beautiful story. Luca, do you want to share one that during your entrepreneur journey?
Yeah, it's kind of awkward because it's always kind of a roller coaster, so it's full of up and down. And of course, every up is a beautiful story, more than expected, and every down is like I don't know, it makes you upset to the double, But basically, the most successful story for us is seeing that a large corporate, like large food distributors are, start using our service MyFoody. And this is something that we are really proud of, because we know now how difficult it is to get into this market. And also it's beautiful because people sometimes call us, oh, I can use the app because maybe they change their mobile phone and they have problem. So seeing that there is a real impact, it's wonderful. As wonderful is when somebody, the students call us because one of their colleagues or another student is using our app to save money and save the food waste. So this is the best part I prefer, and is that what it make you go on and face all the problem that you face when you are smaller and you launch startups.
Yeah, because I think in your case, right, you're making both corporation, consumers, they're starting to think, there is food waste, there are solutions, that, right? And we're starting to become proactive, critical thinkers about a big problem that's impacting all of us. So yeah, beautiful story. And Charlotte, do you want to finish on you share a success story with all of us?
Yes, I think it's really hard for me to decide which one. So I'm going to hint at a few and tell you the one I'm the most proud of. I hope that's okay. Because we're a consumer-facing app, we get loads of testimonies that are super, super heartwarming and super touching of how accessing free food on the app is something that changes people's life and affects them. And obviously that's something that touches us and that touches everyone in the team on a regular basis. And we publish those because they're so heartwarming. And I think at the very base, that's probably something that, every person that managed to get food, that manages to eat thanks to the app, is a massive success for us. Then if I look at the data, like we have 2.5 million users now. We've exchanged food successfully in 52 countries. That's something that is, I think, a massive success, because it was a pretty weird idea to start with, to get people to share their leftovers. So to see that actually there is value in this and that people are doing it is a massive success. Like we've shared 7 million portions of food, which is, something we're proud of. Then also working with like large retailers in the food waste hero model described, like we're scaling with Tesco in the UK now. That's a huge success for us. But the last thing, which I think is a project that I'm running, and also something that I'm extraordinarily proud of, is that through all your data and working with data scientists, we've realized that we actually are starting to acquire a lot of information on hidden poverty and hidden food poverty. And we're now really in the background and with my special project hat, building a tool for local authorities in the UK to identify real time where food poverty occurs and which area are most likely to tip into food poverty. And this is very helpful, especially with the view of helping the public sector rebuild in the face of the pandemic, for them to have that information, which they don't have access to at the moment, because they only measure food poverty with a survey every 4 years. So for us to be able to jump from a consumer solution to be able to inform the public sector and better serve their constituencies is a really humbling experience that we're like so proud to be able to do.
What a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing, Anne Charlotte. I think I can tell probably for the team, we're all excited and impressed by what the three of you have done.